If you've been scrolling through endless laptop listings, watching YouTube deep dives, and still feel that not of doubt about whether the machine you pick will actually run your games without turning your lap into a sauna, this review is here to cut through the noise. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. I've spent the last few weeks testing the Lenovo ThinkPad E16 G2 on everything from office spreadsheets to the latest multiplayer shooters, so let's break down whether it really earns its spot in a gaming-oriented setup. First off, the biggest hesitation most buyers have with a ThinkPad is the business-only stigma. You hear ThinkPad and you picture a sturdy, no-frills workhorse, not a machine that can hold its own in a fast-paced battle royale. The question is, does the E16's hardware actually translate into smooth gameplay, or will you end up with a laptop that's great for spreadsheets but terrible for FPS titles? The answer isn't a simple yes or no, because the experience hinges on a few practical factors: the processor's real-world throttling under load, how the cooling system copes with sustained heat, and whether the display can deliver the visual fidelity you expect from a dedicated gaming laptop. The heart of the E16 is Intel's Core Ultra 7155H, a 16-core chip that's marketed as AI accelerated. In practice, it behaves more like a high-end mobile workstation CPU than a pure gaming engine. When I launched titles that lean heavily on single-core performance, think Valorant and CS::GO, the frame rates stayed comfortably above 80 frames per second at 1080p with medium settings. That's solid for competitive play, where responsiveness matters more than ultra-high graphics. However, when I switched to more GPU-intensive games like Cyberpunk 2077, even with the graphics dialed down to low-medium, I saw the frame count dip into the mid-40s. The bottleneck there isn't the CPU, it's the integrated graphics solution that comes with the Ultra line. If you're looking to push high-detail AAA titles at 60 frames per second, you'll need a dedicated GPU, which the E16 doesn't provide. Heat is the next practical hurdle. The ThinkPad's classic dual-fan system does its job, but under continuous gaming the chassis warms up quickly. During a 2-hour session of Fortnite, the bottom of the laptop rose to around 48 degrees, and the fan spun up to a noticeable whir that could be heard across the room. That fan noise isn't a deal-breaker for most, but it does become a distraction if you're streaming or trying to keep a low profile in a shared space. The laptop does throttle the CPU modestly after about 90 minutes of non-stop load, which translates to a slight dip in frame rates, nothing catastrophic, but enough to notice if you're aiming for ultra-smooth competition. Keyboard feel is where the ThinkPad often shines, and the E16 is no exception. The Backlit, chiclet-style keys have a decent travel distance and a tactile bump that feels satisfying for both typing and rapid key presses in games. The lack of a dedicated macro row means you'll need to rely on software key remapping if you want custom bindings, but the basic WASD cluster feels solid enough to hold your hand steady during long sessions. The fingerprint reader is a nice security bonus, though it doesn't add any gaming advantage. Display-wise, the 16-inch FHD Plus panel offers a resolution of 1920x1200, giving you a bit more vertical real estate than a standard 1080p screen. Color accuracy is respectable for a business laptop, but the refresh rate sticks at 60 Hz, which is a step down from the 120 Hz or 144 Hz panels you find on purpose-built gaming machines. If you're used to buttery smooth motion in fast shooters, you'll notice the difference. Still, the screen is bright enough for indoor play, and the anti-glare coating helps when you're gaming in a sunny room. Battery life is a common concern for any laptop that doubles as a gaming rig. The E16 packs a 57 Wh battery, which translates to roughly 5 hours of mixed productivity use. Once you fire up a game, that drops sharply. I measured about 1.5 hours of continuous play before the charger became a necessity. That's typical for laptops without a dedicated GPU, but it means you'll be tethered to a power outlet for most serious gaming sessions. If you plan to game on the go, you'll need an external power bank or accept short bursts of play. Portability is where the ThinkPad's heritage helps. At 3.8 kilograms, about 8.4 pounds, and a thickness just under 0.8 inches, it's lighter than many 15-inch gaming laptops that bulk up with massive cooling solutions. It fits comfortably in a standard backpack, and the robust chassis can survive the occasional bump on the commute. For gamers who travel for LAN parties or need a work-compatible machine, the E16 strikes a decent balance between mobility and capability. Now, let's talk price. The